thanks, Paul. It's such an exciting day to be here in the Quad Cities, and it's okay to smile, okay? This is a really big deal, and it's amazing if you look back and see how far we've come in one short year, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I want to talk about my brother from another mother, Phil Hare. I don't think there are very many people who could have stepped into the very large shoes of Lane Evans the way Phil Hare has. He is a passionate advocate for the Quad Cities. I see this play out on the floor of the House every day. And Phil and I share one very common belief, and that is the way you get things done in Washington is by building personal relationships with your colleagues on both sides of the aisle. And I watch Phil perform this magic every day. He is, without question, one of the most liked members of Congress, and I think that's why he's had such an extraordinary impact in his brief time in Congress, and I'm honored to serve with him. But Paul, I got to tell you, there's a problem with this map. Because for those of you who don't know, this route is really the Bruce Braley Roots Tour. There's a couple of key things missing. As some of you know, my great-great-grandparents, James and Nancy Donnan, came to Coal Valley during the potato famine. And so Coal Valley is missing from this map. Good. Well, see, that's why it needs to go on there. And then if you follow this map past Iowa City, my other great-great-grandfather, George Washington Braley, walked to Iowa in 1855 from Vermont and settled near Kellogg, which is also on the Rock Island line. And I have some really amazing family history about the construction of that line and some of my ancestors who watched it being built. And then just to the west of Iowa City is a small town of Brooklyn where I grew up and actually cleaned out boxcars along this same route. So this is a very, very personal thing to me, and that's why I'm so passionate about this. But again, I want to talk to you, since Phil talked about some of the incredible economic benefits, I want to talk a little bit about this journey. Because when Phil and I were elected to Congress, there was still a very strong bias among some members of Congress and the public toward continued funding for passenger rail. Some people called it a boondoggle that wasn't returning a value for its investment. So let's talk about how far we've come. When the Senate passed their version of the passenger rail bill in October of 2007, on my birthday, they had $1.4 billion in their bill for passenger rail initiatives. And we had not taken this up yet in the House, so I wrote a letter to Chairman Oberstar and Chairwoman Brown, and I said, we need to increase the capital funding for passenger rail. Later, in May of 2008, I introduced the Passenger Rail Investment Improvement Act along with my colleagues on the Rail Subcommittee, and we increased that funding to $2.5 billion. And when it actually came out of the House, it was $1.9 billion, which was a significant improvement over what was in the Senate. But that was really just the beginning, because after that took place, the president ended up signing that bill into law, and then things started to happen fast and furiously in 2009. On January 26th, when the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act was introduced in the House, it included $300 million for intercity passenger rail. And I, along with Congressman Hare and other members of Congress, sent a letter to our leadership saying, we need more funding for passenger rail. We saw what a huge increase in demand there was last summer at a time of rising fuel prices. We knew this was a direction that was good for America, and we demanded that more be added. And we were successful. When the recovery package was modified, it included $8 billion in funding, up from that original $300 million. And that $8 billion was signed into law on February 17th by President Obama. And immediately after that, 1 week later, is when the omnibus bill came out, which had more funding for passenger rail in it. So when you look at these combined efforts, including the appropriation that Congressman Hare talked about, $1.9 billion in the passenger rail safety bill, $8 billion in the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, $90 million in the omnibus bill, including the money that Congressman Hare was able to secure. you can sense what a remarkable change there's been in one short year. We have to build on that momentum and continue to push to make this become a reality. And I share Congressman Hare's concerns because I don't care how I get home, I want to get home. And the opportunity to take the train, which I do frequently on the East Coast when I'm traveling, it's a wonderful way to get work done, to catch up on your phone calls, and quite frankly, relax without some of the hassles that sometimes accompany air travel in this day and age. So we are very excited about this and very excited about taking the important next step today of asking Transportation Secretary LaHood to prioritize this project as part of the funding for the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. With your help, with your support, we're going to make this project a reality, and that's why I'm so grateful to see such a wonderful crowd here today. Thank you.
As Bruce just got done explaining, Congressman Hare and Congressman Braley plan on sending this letter. Probably not this size of a letter.
We'll take this postage on
to Secretary Ray LaHood, prioritizing the Quad Cities, Island City, Omaha corridor. You guys want to do the honor to sign that letter?